We're going to look at the call similarities of Ezekiel. Ezekiel is going to be our main passage that we're looking at, and then how it correlates with some of the parallel passages over in Isaiah and Jeremiah. So first we'll just do a walkthrough of Ezekiel. So the first thing to notice is that he is seeing an appearance of God on his throne, right? So he says the likeness of a throne, an appearance like sapphire seated above likeness. There was likeness of a human appearance. Okay, but he's on the throne, right? And he's seeing the glory of the Lord all around him. Okay, that's going to recall Isaiah, and that's the first thing to notice here. We're also just going to look at Ezekiel's call. So, Son of Man, important. It appears 93 times. It's a designation for Ezekiel. I think it's an important one for informing our New Testament understanding of Ezekiel. Of the Son of Man. You cannot derive a sin-bearing, suffering Son of Man from Daniel. So when we see the words Son of Man in the New Testament, it's important to also recall the Ezekiel image. The Spirit entered into me and set me on my feet is going to set you up for this empowering spirit for Ezekiel, as it happens many times with the text, but then also the presence of God. And we'll see that even in the New Covenant paradigm. I send you, so that mirrors Isaiah's language. Remember, as he encounters the presence of God, he is sent in a mission to the people of Israel, to a nation, to nations of rebels. So here we do have the people of but remember, in Jeremiah, it wasn't actually a call just to like Israel. It was a call to the nations. Both times it was mentioned that way. They and their, but then here, notice here, it says they and their fathers have transgressed against me to this very day, which will set up the question of the sour grapes proverb that happens later on. Why are we being punished for the sins of our fathers? Okay, they are impudent and stubborn. I send you. They refuse to hear. They are a rebellious house. So this also is both present in Isaiah and in Jeremiah. He tells them ahead of time, your audience will not listen to you, which recalls Moses's call, where he says, I'm going to harden Pharaoh's heart. But they still are supposed to go. They will know that a prophet has been among them. So God is trying to show, I've sent you ample cause to repent, and this is not my fault, basically. Be not afraid of them. And then, though you are among the thorns are with you, and you sit on scorpions, be not afraid of their words. So sitting on scorpions, you should usually be afraid, but he's saying there's going to be some protection here. And this same sort of promise was given to Jeremiah, that he would be a fortified city, iron walls, that sort of thing. And so this is a parallel there, and he tells Jeremiah not to be afraid, for God will be with him. So that's the same. Interestingly enough, the promise of divine presence is not here in this one, not easily discernible at least. Then he says, take a scroll of the book. Sorry, not take a scroll, but he spread out a scroll, and it had written on the front and on the back words of lamentation and mourning and woe. To go to chapter 3 for the calling, for the continuation of the calling. And he says, eat this scroll. So he says, I ate it, and it was in my mouth, sweet as honey. By the way, a few things interesting here. Notice that earlier, these are called the people of Israel, up here as well, the house of Israel. So Israel is a designation for the people whom Ezekiel's ministering to, which is this stump remaining there in Babylon, and then also the remaining tree that will be cut down. Some of them will come over to the stump as well, back there in Judah, and he's still calling them Israel. So that's good. Then also, anyways, going back to our point of this thing that happens to the prophet's mouth at the start of their call, and here it said he's eating these words. So if you remember in Isaiah, he had these coals of the altar touch his mouth, and then he says, your guilt has been atoned for. Speak my words or something. Yeah, he doesn't actually say speak my words, he just says your guilt has been atoned for. And then in Jeremiah, he says, he actually touches his lips, and then he says, I've put my words in your mouth. And then here he's saying, eat this scroll. So there's some sort of thing that happens with the prophet's mouth, and each time it's a slightly different thing. Right here, like Ezekiel's having to eat these words. In Jeremiah, he just touched his mouth, and then in Isaiah, these coals touch his mouth, but there was nothing associated with his words. It was just atonement. So you've got to ask, is there a correlation between these mouth sign acts and the call of the prophets? And then you do still continue to have a call account, but it starts to move away from the specifically Mosaic themes or the sort of things that all three of them share, and you get this sort of idea of a watchman. We'll go back to some of these calls just to look at them really quick. So in Isaiah, notice here that he saw the Lord upon his throne. The train of his robe filled the temple. The earth was full of the glory of the Lord to the temple. And so he is seeing the glory of the Lord. Whom shall I send? So Ezekiel was sent. And then here, behold, this has touched your lips. Your guilt is taken away and your sin is atoned for. There's nothing there about the words, right? It's just a burning coal. They're taken from the altar. Later on, Ezekiel does get a coal taken from the altar, but it's not in the context of his call. And then here is the hard-heartedness of the people. I keep on hearing, but did not understand. And then how long? And it seems that really Ezekiel's call was to the nations. I don't see anything in Isaiah about specifically about a call to the nations. It seems to be mostly concerned with Israel and Judah. The same thing happens in Jeremiah. The same sort of stuff happens in Jeremiah. So notice that he says, do not be afraid of them. So this is sort of saying that they're going to fight against you. Remember the image of scorpions. So they will fight against you. But I will make you this day a fortified city. And I will deliver you. So you should not be afraid of them. He also says he put his hand and touched my mouth. And the Lord said to me, I've put my words in your mouth. Then also notice his call to the nations, plural. So he says, I've set you this day over nations and over kingdoms. And then when he's actually calling him, he says, I appointed you a prophet to the nations, plural. Okay, so that's the call narrative of Ezekiel and some of the ways that it's parallel to the calls of Isaiah and Jeremiah.